You're listening to Real Crime, the Movie Sleuth podcast.
One day, or should I say 1 week, I'd love to lead this show off properly again. Every damn week we're doing this now. Is this like your thing now, Chris? Like this is like your shtick?
I'm doing it just to make you mad.
You're doing it to upset me.
Yep.
This is Real Crime. I am the lovely Scott.
You are.
And that is the annoying Chris.
Hey.
The lovely H is in the corner.
What up?
And the illustrious Chris, Mr. Chris Jordan's here in the house this tonight.
The less annoying Chris.
Yeah, the much less annoying Chris.
Is a great description.
I think the last time we hung out, Chris, that was like...
The party I think we had last time.
Oh, it was the party.
Yeah.
I was thinking like September last year when we were all out in Ann Arbor.
No, it's...
What did we
been
watch?
At least once since then.
Yeah.
What did we watch that night?
Oh my God.
Awful movies, I think.
We watched a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Awful
like
movies.
Like 2 movies at least that I stayed for.
So, yeah.
The second one was The Guyver.
Oh, that's
that was amazing.
Yeah.
I forget what the first one was, though.
Oh, that was great.
Because no movie that we watched could have been better than The Guyver.
It was Ticket to Miami.
Oh,
Hard Ticket to Hawaii.
Hot there we go. I always confuse Miami Connection with that one. I always mix up the...
Yeah.
In case you guys noticed this, because we are live streaming, much to my...
dismay.
Yeah. I got a haircut, though, for this today. I thought about the show, and I'm like, I really need to get my beard was like this far out. Yeah. It was like starting to get really creepy looking. So I'm like, well, I better get myself cleaned up because I know I'm going to be on a live stream tonight. And I assure you, nobody will be getting shot here either. Okay?
Yeah.
No one's going to get killed on this live stream. So don't worry about that. However, one of the things you might have to worry about is if you start to see the water level rise here in the studio, we're under some heavy flood warning right now here in...
Really?
Well, dude, have you been driving?
Probably not.
No, probably not.
I have, though. It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks.
It's so rainy out right now.
It's really rainy out right now, but we're here. We're here, episode number 79.
But you know what they say, right?
What's that? April
showers bring May flowers.
Yeah, I hope. I hope it gets warmer because we all hate this weather. We're all miserable right now. I really want. I know. I'm just tired. I just want things to get nicer. I don't know. I can't deal with this anymore. Can I just go
there
home?
Was like a.
This is just the truth of the human condition.
It's fucking,
the crackling in your voice
I
makes
can't do this anymore.
He started talking about the weather, and then he's not actually talking about the weather
I
at all.
swear nobody's going to kill themselves.
My whole life has no meaning anymore.
Well,
it's
when
true.
did it ever?
Fuck you.
Life is pain.
Zing.
Life is it's pointless.
Zingy.
Pointless. Episode 79, we have a really fun episode planned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chris, you have had a couple of days, I know.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're sitting upright, I am really amazed. I know that's like your 50th Rip It, though, in the last,
it is.
like, 15 minutes, I think.
Probably, yeah.
So you're...
My body is officially sponsored by Rip It.
You should get a face tattoo.
I couldn't get a better sponsor, so they were like, well, we'll at least give you the Rip It, the 99-cent energy drink.
You're pickled and Rip It right now.
Oh, God.
I am.
What do we have for the news this week, Chris?
Well, first let's mention our sponsors, the Flint Institute of Arts, which I'm actually going to. 2 weeks from now, I'm going to the Flint Institute of Arts. They're having a media day, and I'm going to go.
Wow.
So if anybody wants to join me, you guys can you're welcome to go. I believe it's on a Tuesday or I think it's a Thursday, actually.
Because the batteries,
I'll let you know.
The batteries in my drone won't make it up there.
What time?
Right. It's in the morning. It's at like 10:30 a.m. So
what day?
I believe it's like the 19th or the 21st.
I can't go. God.
Well, it's okay. It's
All
okay.
Right. We're going to get up there sooner or later. Anyways, go ahead.
Also, check out projectorscreen.com.
Oh, yeah.
For wonderful projector screens.
Yeah, you have. They deal in projector screens.
Yes, they do. In news this week, Eric Bana is going to star in Bravo's TV show event series called Dirty John. So this will actually be Eric Bana's first time starring in a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool.
What's the show about?
I don't know. I have no clue.
It's about the Incredible Hulk.
Yes, the Incredible Bulk. The writers of Jigsaw are now in the process of writing a sequel. Of course, the Saw series will never die.
Oh,
It will never, ever die.
damn it.
Why don't they bring us a new villain?
I don't know.
So is it going to be Jigsaw 2?
I probably...
It's gonna be Jigsaw
my God,
2,
the-
Jigsaw's Revenge.
It's gonna be
The
Jigsaw.
numbers
duh.
are going to be all out of order.
Nobody
Yeah.
uses Roman numerals anymore.
Matt Reeves updated the Batman today, saying that things are going really, really well.
Cool.
So I'm kind of excited to see what happens with that.
Yeah.
Cameron Crowe, the wonderful Cameron Crowe, is making a documentary on David Crosby for BMG.
Really?
That's pretty interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah. Also, in box office news, Black Panther has officially crossed Jurassic World and Frozen's global takes. So this thing is still making a lot
holy
of
shit.
money.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Wow.
Yep.
Jurassic
yep.
World made a lot of money.
Jurassic World made a shit
Oh,
ton
you
of
know
money.
what? Yeah, that makes sense. Do you think
Yeah.
the new one is the Jurassic Universe is gonna whatever it's called?
Jurassic Galaxy.
Yeah. With Star-Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Do you think that's gonna
Starring
make a lot of money?
Star-Lord. What's that?
Do you think it's gonna make a lot of money?
Of course it will.
You
Probably,
think
yeah.
so? I don't know. I
It's
didn't
going to
like
be
Jurassic
dinosaurs
World.
in space.
I was gonna say it's
Dude, if there was dinosaurs in space,
That'd be so
you
rad.
had me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shut up and take my money.
She'll take my money. In new releases this week, we've got Blockers, A Quiet Place,
Yeah.
which me and Michelle are seeing tomorrow night,
Oh, I hate you.
and Chappaquiddick comes out this week also.
Yeah, I actually want to see that.
I kind of want to see that too. So those are our new releases for this week. My suggested viewing this week
Ooh.
is actually going to be Unsane.
Oh, nice.
What an amazing film.
dude. We've had okay, fine.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that movie, Chris?
I don't know. I enjoyed it.
It was great.
But yeah, it was really, really
It was
good.
really
so
awesome. It
I had a
was really
chance to
good.
see it last week, and I actually suggested it to quite a few people because it's really cool. So
A lot of
Awesome.
people are talking about it.
yeah,
Yeah, I've been
I
hearing
still
it's
haven't
really
seen
good.
it yet, but I'm looking very forward to it.
Yeah.
Very forward to it.
There's just something gritty about that film. We've beaten it up pretty. We beat it up pretty
Yeah.
good last week.
Yeah, yes, we
It's
have.
a gritty looking movie, man. It just feels right. Have you seen it yet, Chris?
No, I've not.
Yeah, you're gonna enjoy it. I guarantee
Yeah,
you.
I hear
you're gonna
it's
love
very good.
You're gonna love it. Heather, how about you?
You're gonna laugh. I don't really have anything because basketball just ended.
Oh, we did. So your review on basketball again from last
Michigan
week.
Wolverines lost, but I knew they were gonna lose.
It's like ESPN sports review here.
I know. Villanova won by like 23 points or something.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, they never. I don't know. I actually asked this question after the game Monday. Has Villanova ever won a game, not won a game by 20 or more points? Like, they crush every single team they play.
That's the exact same thing I was thinking too, Heather.
It's
I had no. I was thinking the same thing.
You know what?
Like, what the hell's with Villanova?
You're making this up.
No,
aren't
I'm
you?
not. No,
Okay.
what's with Villanova? Tell me.
They're an incredible basketball team.
That's what I said too. They're an incredible basketball team.
It doesn't even. Every season, they
You don't watch
just.
sports,
I
do
know
you?
he doesn't. But it's cool because I do, and I absolutely love it. But I have no idea why they're so good. Every single year, they are just incredible.
I just.
Okay, well, I guess I'm watching Jessica Jones, and it's just meh. But yeah, but I watched the whole thing, so I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I still need to watch season 2. I really liked season 1.
I even thought season 1 was just. It wasn't as scary as I thought it should have been. We actually talked about that when we talked about female comic book characters.
Yeah.
But season 2, I mean, there's some like, who said? Someone said that there was my friend Dan. What up, Dan Mason? He said that there's like sprinkles of really good things in season 2, and then it's just really slow and.
Yeah. I mean,
Is that your review?
Season 1, I kind of thought similar to a lot of these movies, like similar to Black Panther, like the social themes and all the stuff about feminism and rape culture and victim blaming and all that was really, really good. And then the superhero stuff was just fine. It was superhero stuff.
Right.
We've seen lots of it by now.
There's a lot of that in the season, but it seems a little forced. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious to see it.
No, watch it. I mean, it's a beautiful looking series. There's at least, there's on a technical standpoint, I think it's good.
Yeah, and I like, that and Black Panther have been like the two Marvel properties that are about things.
Right.
That aren't just escapist superhero business, and they got themes and stuff. So yeah,
there's a few good surprises in season 2. So yeah.
All right, Chris.
Okay.
What would be your suggested viewing this week?
I'm gonna suggest the new Pacific Rim, since that just had its one little weekend to do okay, and then immediately got overshadowed by other movies. I really enjoyed it. It's not as great as the first one. It doesn't have quite the same kind of snarky postmodernism. It's a little bit more just kind of surface level, but it's really well done.
It's a bit more goofy.
Yeah, it's a little more goofy, but it's really well done, really fun. It feels like a really cool Saturday morning cartoon with, John Boyega and a big budget and stuff. And I find it really interesting that they just kind of didn't even care how it did here, because it wasn't made for us.
It wasn't made
for us. It was made for China, Japan, and Korea, where it made like triple what it made here on its opening weekend. So, I find that interesting. I mean, that's cool that they can make like these nerdy things that'll do well in other markets, but not here, because international markets let that happen. But since it is so much better than a certain other shitty director's shitty giant robot series, it's really a shame that they just didn't even really try to advertise it and make it a thing here, because I really liked it. It was cool.
It looked great. It felt great. Yeah, I didn't freak out as hard as I did with the original Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy the dialogue. It was a lot of fun. It was cool. It moved along. You're gonna find the holes, whatever, no big deal. But I all in all, we all really enjoyed it. So it was a great movie. I'll see it again. I'll probably go out and see it.
Oh yeah, and I just felt like I was a kid drinking Monster watching Evangelion again.
There you go. There you go.
All right, Mr. Scott.
Couple
what's
quick
yours
things. I was thinking about this. We went and saw the band Sleep Saturday night, which is one of my. I don't know if you guys know who Sleep is. They're one of the bands. They
put me to sleep every time. Sorry.
They put a lot of people to sleep. They wrote a 65-minute long song called "Dope Smoker."
Nice.
That's serious. But that made me think of a really great documentary that has them as a feature in it called "Such Hawks, Such Hounds." I think I did a review on it a long while back here on the site. But it's a great documentary on the whole doom, sludge, stoner genre of music, where they do a 15-minute kind of mini doc on Sleep and talk about a lot of the great facts, like when these guys finally got a record deal, they got a $100,000 advance.
Damn.
And they spent $75,000 of it on equipment and drugs, and the other $25,000 to actually record an album.
I'm down. I'm down.
Which was the album called Dope Smoker. When they gave that to the record label, like, yeah, here's the album. They're like, it's one song. They're like, yeah. We just couldn't figure a way to land it, so we just kept playing it. So there's just these great things. They're an amazing band. Matt Pike plays in a band now called High on Fire. A lot of people know who High on Fire is.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Matt, that was his first band. Well, that was his second band was Sleep. So we got to see those guys Saturday night. That's a really great documentary. Such Hawks, Such Hounds. I think you can watch it on YouTube for free. It's out there by compliments of the directors. They put it out there, so you can watch that if you'd like.
I like cool. Free.
Yeah, I'll be watching that. Thank you.
It's fun. It's fun, if you're into that kind of stuff. Real fast, too, I want to mention, I did take the time, and I'm going to watch the rest of them, too. I did finally sit down, watch the first 2 episodes of the new Roseanne.
Oh.
And I really, you know what? I loved to hate Roseanne so much when I was younger. I was always the John Goodman. I was always Team John Goodman. I was always Team Dan,
Yeah.
But that whole cast was incredible, and I was really excited to see this again. So I sat down and watched the first 2 episodes, and they're fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I know.
You wrote a piece on this too.
Fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I wrote a piece on this.
I don't know where it's not on my page anymore, but I shared that. I loved it, Chris. Great. Thank you
Speaking
very
of
much.
social commentary, I don't know if you could cram any more into like 20, 25 minutes like
Right?
they did.
I know.
I mean, each episode, they pretty much covered everything that we're experiencing in this country today.
Right.
And there's like another 7 episodes. They're doing 9 episodes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it was an overload kind of to a certain degree, but I mean, just seeing that cast together again, seeing John Goodman, and if you know the whole how it played out in the original series, I guess you'd call it. Okay, fine, you let it slide. But there's so many great lines like that. It's the opening scene is just
that was so good.
Why does everybody think I'm dead all the time? Like, what the fuck, man?
I really appreciated that.
But I laughed, and that's the thing is it wasn't front loaded, but I did see other people, their reactions to it. They're like, I haven't laughed like that since I watched the original one.
Yeah.
Because you just laugh. It's just great commentary. It's lowbrow as shit 9 times out of 10, but it's worth it. It's fun. So yeah, I really enjoyed watching that.
That's a great suggested viewing because I really liked the first 2 episodes.
Yeah,
very
much
so.
They were great.
Very much so.
They were great. I look forward to seeing the rest of them. And
I'm not sure if it was. I will tell. I'm not afraid to admit there was some serious nostalgia going on when I was watching Roseanne and seeing everybody talking to each other again, and how loud Jackie got when she was trying to side with Becky's decisions and stuff. She was like, "Well, now, like it's oh god, I loved it."
And they brought everybody back. Too. That's what I love about it. They're bringing everybody back. They found a way to make it work. And feature everybody who was a part of this thing, if you know the history and whatnot. So I highly recommend seeing that. I'm glad to see, Roseanne is, coming back from I know she's a macadamia nut farmer in Hawaii. That's what she actually has been doing for the last many years.
That's what she's been doing for
a very long time.
Since Roseanne.
All right.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for Roseanne. Let's move on to our topic.
Hey, fuck you.
You hate Roseanne.
You don't like Roseanne?
I like Roseanne, but I just want to get on to our topic because we're 20 minutes in already.
Oh,
I'm sorry. We're enjoying ourselves, Chris. Having a nice conversation. We didn't mean to
goddamn.
stomp all over that shit.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Let's move on here.
Right.
Speaking of the apocalypse.
I'm such a dick. Oh, yes.
Nice.
Beautiful. Thank you. That was great transition. Perfect.
Well, wait. I thought that was supposed to be Heather anyways. We scripted this week.
It's okay.
Well, no, it's yours.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
Since we're doing a post,
and hurry up because we don't want.
I know.
I
can't talk fast. But since we're doing post-apocalyptic tonight, I had a question that I thought would be a good way to start us off, and I want to know what everybody thinks post-apocalyptic means to them, because I have a definition, but I was reading a million different definitions, but I want to know. Because, like, Scott, you have some movies on your list that I'd like to challenge.
That's
but
fine.
I want to know why you chose those movies specifically. So I really think that we should establish a definition first.
I think, for myself, a definition of post-apocalyptic would be, something that takes place after the end of the world as we know it.
Right.
It does not necessarily have to be the end-all, be-all end of the world, but the apocalypse basically means that the world that we know
is changing,
has changed or has been destroyed.
Yeah.
So that would be the definition of that.
I wrote down what it was. I know, dude. I have my little handy notebook.
Studious.
Doing her homework. Look at
I want it to be because when someone says post-apocalyptic, they're like,
cool.
there's a shit ton of movies that they name off, and it's like, well. Yeah. Is that really post-apocalyptic? So
no, yeah.
All right.
What do you got?
Imminent disaster and total or universal destruction.
Okay.
That is the one that I thought was the most fitting.
That's the post-apocalyptic. That's the definition of post-apocalyptic.
Yes.
Okay.
And I also have dystopian too because I think some of the movies on your list are more dystopian.
Yeah.
A lot of them do kind of cross.
I think that's what I'm thinking too. That's the problem with every fucking week we have this problem with when we're trying to do topics like this. We cross. There's so many weird. There's so many gray areas here. So and that's great because let's challenge these things because my dumb list is just one dumb list.
No, I don't think it's dumb. I just, I just thought it would be interesting to
let me throw out this
example
that I don't think is on your list. Okay. When I think of post-apocalyptic, the first movie that comes to mind for me...
X-Men Apocalypse.
No.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's current apocalypse.
That's current.
Post-apocalypse will be this next movie.
I had
The Road. The Road
Yeah.
is a perfect example
Great
of
example. Perfect.
post-apocalypse.
Absolutely.
The world that we know has ended.
Yeah.
Things have changed. People are dispersed into little groups, and there are barely any survivors.
Well, there's the infrastructure, and that's the big thing I think when it comes to post-apocalyptic is we have an infrastructure we live on. Mm-hmm. This is where we're at. Like we all we have what we have. This is our life as we know it. We live within an infrastructure. And I guess the idea of post-apocalyptic is that infrastructure is more or less either severely altered or it's removed.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Food is a very good example.
Yes.
So, in The Road, you have a lot of like all these little groups you're talking about. Their main motivation is to find food and resources.
Yes.
Right? So they're out doing whatever the hell they got to do to be able to eat. Mm-hmm. So that is truly, and I think you're right. That's maybe one of the most ultimate examples of what we're talking about is that movie, The Road, because it focuses on just two people, a man and his son, and you get to see them go through what they have to go through, right?
Right.
Which that movie is so strategic though too, and just. I want to hear what you have to say because there is I don't want to spoil shit, but there is a situation.
These are movies that are older.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about that.
These are situations. They find a place, they find an underground shelter with. They have everything.
Yeah,
they have everything they need. They're in perfect shape. But within that, you watch. What I forgot the
I don't even remember their names.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm blanking. But you watch him realize, oh, you know what? You see, there's just some little scenes where it's like they hear noises above them, they hear things, and he kind of peeks up and looks and then pulls the mattress over there to cover the manhole cover up again. But he does realize within that, if somebody comes here, they find this, they're just going to kill us. We're just going to die, right? So they have this comfort. They're in this great place. They have food. They have shelter. They have everything they need. But he realizes if by this slim chance that they're actually discovered, they're just going to open that cover up and they're going to kill them, mm-hmm. right? Yeah. And that's the main motivator is that we're going to survive through this.
Well, and one thing you'll want to take of note too, they have no names.
Oh, okay.
That's how far.
You're right.
That's how far gone the human race is in this movie.
Right.
They're literally man and boy and woman. There's no actual construct of them having
even before
name.
It happened in the house. You don't hear them say each other's names or anything. Or,
hey, Bob.
Yeah, go
the
get
fucked.
Go get him and Oh, God, it's all coming back to me now.
But that's truly post-apocalyptic. I think it's just that there's no infrastructure, and you know what? Yeah, I would have liked to give it some more time and thought that through. We kind of whipped this together pretty quick today or yesterday. That just thinking that through right now, I'd like to use that. That's what I'm going to use the rest of this show is kind of my gauge is infrastructure.
Okay.
That's me.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. That's just kind of my idea.
I think honing in on infrastructure too specifically might be a little too limited. I guess we talked about this when we did the dystopian movies podcast, a year or so ago or whatever. Where I think of sort of the difference as being post-apocalypse is, it might be environmental or it might be, an infrastructure thing, some sort of world-altering, it could be medical, Children of Men I definitely think of as one, where the apocalypse is that humans can't reproduce. And sometimes post-apocalyptic movies are also dystopian.
Oh, yeah.
But, dystopian is all the sort of socio-political, the human society, kind of top-down, corrupt power structures.
But even in Children of Men, the infrastructure's gone.
Yeah.
There's nobody sweeping the roads. There's nobody changing light bulbs, outside. There's nothing happening. Infrastructure's been destroyed, too.
Well, and why is that, though? In that movie,
they never explain it.
Well,
I think it was just the human repopulation issues and other things that had happened.
So it's self-immolation, basically. We can't reproduce, so fuck it. Let's just party.
I think it's it's very much just sort of the kind of existential despair taking over, and that's why they sell the suicide drug for people who just want to kill themselves.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so you're right. It's more than just infrastructure. It's ideas too. I mean, and that's an idea we're talking. I mean, well, it's a physical thing too. Like, okay, guys, I'm going to level with you. Something's happened. We can't reproduce anymore. So in a couple hundred years or whatever it might be, literally 100 years or so, we're just going to freaking die off. There's going to be nothing left here. So as a race of people, no matter how large you are, as far as a society, how are you going to view that?
Yeah.
Well, what the fuck's the point? Why do I go to work now? What am I working for? I'm not doing anything that really. We're all going to be gone. So why should I go and sweep the streets?
Right.
Why should I go serve food somewhere? Why should I do anything? I just sit around and fucking do stupid shit. I mean, I don't. So that's an idea based on something not, and the infrastructure's still there. So that's
it
what's
still
interesting
exists, but nobody's doing
gives a
it.
shit.
Nobody's doing anything about it.
Nobody's maintaining it, man.
Now, see, a movie like The Hunger Games, you could say that's post-apocalyptic because the world has ended. The world that we know has ended, but that's still more dystopian. Like, I wouldn't classify that into these movies at all.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, that's
No,
more of
definitely
an imaginary standpoint,
Yeah. Yes.
What about here, you got one, Chris? Did you have a list, or am I just putting you on the spot?
I only have two because I just wanted to hear what everybody
Well,
else thought.
Go ahead. What do you got?
The one that I personally like a lot is Young Ones from 2014 with Michael Shannon and what's his name, Michael Holt. Elle Fanning's in it as well. Jake Paltrow made it, and he wrote it and directed it. I thought it came from somewhere else, but it's an original.
It was
creation.
an original, yeah.
But it's really cool. It the way the movie is described is called Far Future, but like in all of the reviews they say far future. They don't say post-apocalyptic or anything, but the way that the movie plays out is very post-apocalyptic. Like there's
because everything is crumbled in this movie.
Like
there's no systems of support at all.
It follows Michael Shannon and his family, and they're all farmers, so it comes from a whole other perspective as well. And water is really, really scarce, and so now there's like turf wars and stuff for water. And
it's the same idea.
But it's a Western. Yeah. It's so cool. Like I really like that movie.
It's a definite different take on the genre.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a Western?
It's
a Western.
It's kind of a Western. Yeah, it is.
I never saw it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's really dusty, and there's that robotic creature in it.
There's the robot dog it's like the actual giant robot that you can kick over and it'll stand up again. And
it's
I can't remember what it's
big
called.
dog.
Yeah, Big Dog. But
Boston Dynamics.
It's funny because it's post-apocalyptic, or I mean, it's a Western, but it's very cyberpunk at the same time.
Oh, it's cool.
Yeah, so like they have
Young Ones?
dog, Young Ones, from 2014.
I have to see that now.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
It's really neat. I mean, it's not like awesome or anything like that, but I thought it was really cool. Like it piqued my interest big time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the second movie?
Bad Batch that came out like last year by
It's
Anna
on
Lily.
Netflix now.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Bad
That's
Batch?
a really good one too because you distinctly see the different groups that have happened, and you don't really actually know what's going on. This woman is just released from jail, and then she walks, and then she comes to these people. They're cannibals, and she has to deal with that. But you don't. There's no other references to anything else in the world except for the fact that she's released from prison in the beginning of the movie. That's it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really good.
And some really bad shit happens.
Some seriously nasty stuff happens.
Bad Batch.
Cannibals.
The Bad Batch. Yeah.
But what's her name? It's like Suki Waterhouse. Jason Momoa's in it. Jim Carrey's in it. Keanu Reeves is in it.
Oh, wow.
I talked about this was a suggested viewing a couple of weeks ago from me.
It's probably one of those you watch, and I was like, I'm going to go watch that for sure. And here
it's
I am
on Netflix,
going,
man.
I know.
It's a beautiful movie too, but it takes place in a desert, and it's just so weird. But it looks very post-apocalyptic, so you don't, and the fact that you know nothing else about anything.
Yeah, there's no backstory at all. You're just kind of thrown into this world.
This story. Yeah, it's awesome. It's really good. But that's my definition of post-apocalyptic, really, is when you just have absolutely zero reference of the world that was left behind, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, When I think of post-apocalyptic movies, well, Children of Men that I already brought up is definitely one that comes to mind. And then, of course, I mean, you kind of can't talk about post-apocalyptic movies without talking about the Mad Max movies.
Oh, yeah.
Those are kind of the archetypal.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what I find so interesting about those is that over the progression of them, it isn't like there's an apocalypse event. It's sort of like a slow crumbling of society under the weight of kind of social and environmental problems that start to stack up.
That's what the young ones is kind of like. Yeah.
And getting to see that over those movies where, like, in the first one, like, it's just, like, things are clearly starting to go bad.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can see that, okay, society's falling apart and everything's kind of a desert now.
It's such a weird movie, the first one.
The first movie is
weird.
really weird. Yeah.
It was Mad Max at the end. I'm mixing them up probably, but it's one of the coldest lines I think I've ever heard in a movie is, those handcuffs are high tensile steel.
That's the first one.
You can cut through those in 15 minutes. You can cut through your leg in about 5.
Woo!
It's like, dude, that's some of the hardest shit ever right there, dude. Go Mel. No, those movies, seeing The Road Warrior when I was young, especially, I don't know too many people that didn't have an impression left on them from that movie. I don't think there was anything at the time, and honestly, I mean, I know there's the new Mad Max Fury Road, but the Road Warrior, I mean, just saying that term when we were kids kind of brought on this whole, like, oh shit, man, the Road Warrior, right? You know, because, just the way the movie looked, the machines, the vehicles they were using, they were, it was obviously a post-apocalyptic look. These guys, and they literally said the whole idea that was to, like, they were just building machines out of what they had.
Yeah.
And they not only as a story, but that's kind of what they did as far as like the production.
A good example of that is that compound they built around that fuel whatever complex it was,
Yeah. That movie just had such a cool look to it, and just the battles, just this war going on in deserts of these vehicles going back and forth. I mean, it was some of the most spectacular looking stuff, and that was like that was 1981 for God's sake. I mean, there's nothing that looks that good, and even going to everybody likes to make fun of Beyond Thunderdome, Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome.
What? Why?
A lot of people say that was the shitty one.
Well, here's the problem.
It's campy.
Well, it's not just that it's camp. It's that they had directorial issues with that movie.
Oh, really?
And George Miller basically didn't really direct the last half of that movie. Things started to kind of fall apart, and that's why it took that weird direction.
Yeah.
Where it was like,
it
felt like a sequel to The Road Warrior at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then about the midway point, it changes to, hey, Lord of the Flies with all these kids in this little paradise, Yeah. That's the problem with Beyond Thunderdome. Still, though, it's a great post-apocalyptic feature.
Yeah.
My question to you, though, who run town?
Oh, God.
Master Blaster.
No, the movie looks so cool. That movie looked beautiful. I have I'm sure all of us here, I liked Fury Road. I thought it was a fantastic
I loved it.
movie.
Fury Road's awesome.
Yeah.
But I just thought, like a lot of the reboots or whatever you want to call them, I just thought, like, okay, man, we had the Road Warrior. One of the toughest flicks ever made, man.
Even having grown up in the generation that saw the Road Warrior and Thunderdome a lot on TV and stuff, I think Fury Road is far and away the best of those 4 movies.
It looks insane. It's completely off the hook. I agree.
Like, it looks insane, and I think it definitely hits the themes of the movies the hardest.
Yeah.
As far as the post-apocalyptic stuff, and as, like, it just has so many layers to it. With, like, it does the post-apocalyptic stuff really well. That is, like, about, like, there's the oil and the water, and, like, all the fighting over the natural resources and the dystopian society that has grown up, and then the ways in which it really is, like, a sort of, a feminist commentary on action cinema and an upending of genre tropes, and it's just such a smart movie in so many ways, in addition to being, like, one of the most impressively produced action movies like ever.
Yeah.
Well, and one of the best chase movies of all time, because it never stops.
It don't stop.
It never stops.
Well, I think what really it amplified too was the element of war. Like, you even hear them say like you hear Valhalla being mentioned and all these things. Like, these guys are warriors. They are true warriors on a whole different playing field.
Yeah,
right?
and
I love that idea.
Yeah, and the way that you really get to see like the way in which the society works, and the way in which like the power structure that's grown up, like exploits the war boys and exploits the women, and just uses all these people as cogs in this machine, and like it builds the world so well, but with almost no actual exposition.
Yeah,
like you learn so much
as it
goes, and like really organically, and like the way that world is built and the way you learn everything that you learn without it being handed to you. And like, without there being like a clunky like expository crawl at the beginning.
This is what happened prior to this movie.
Yeah. I mean, just like everything about that movie is just
it's awesome.
Perfect.
I mean, I think the Road Warrior, Mad Max, that the whole idea, that whole universe to me, I mean, it was the most. I mean, as I said already, the Road Warrior growing up, that was one of the most amazing films I ever saw when I was a kid. I mean, there was just nothing that looked like that. Nothing that.
I remember seeing it the first time and being almost in like jaw-dropping shock.
Wow!
Because I was like, how the hell did they do this?
Yeah.
This long chase sequence at the end that lasts like 40 minutes, basically.
Yeah.
But I just was like, this.
It blew me away.
With the vehicles, the dustiness in the movie, the vehicles. And again, they built it. There was the idea of it, like just take junk and make it work. You know what I mean? I thought that was just such a cool idea.
That was the first time I had ever seen rape in a movie.
Oh God, yeah.
And that was like really disturbing, like really disturbing because I was a kid when I saw it.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes you realize the post-apocalyptic themes of the film too, because there's nobody around. There's nobody there to save you.
There's no infrastructure.
Like
there's no police force.
Yeah, there's no police.
There's
nobody that's coming to save you.
And that's growing up in the 80s like you did, Chris, we both are the same age. It still haunts me. Oh shit! It still haunts me to this day to think about that, because in the 80s, the early 80s, there was a lot of just made-for-TV shows, and I can't remember the name of any of them, to be honest with you. They were on every damn day of the week during the Cold War, where there was always this idea of some fucking nuclear weapon coming and just blowing out the entire infrastructure. And what will we do? And and there, we're gonna touch on some of the highlights of that, I think, also. But that still haunts me to this day. I think about that because we're seeing more of this stuff again. I think I'm seeing an upswing of these type of movies.
Oh yeah.
And I think about that all the time. Like, okay, I have my home. I have all these wonderful, comfortable things that I have in my life. It's easy. Everything's great. I go to work. I do my thing. It's just we do what we do as a society.
And next thing you know, you're building a car to survive the post-apocalyptic chase.
Yeah, because my Sonic isn't going to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Sonic is not going to make it, man.
Your van
put some
would
spikes in front of it.
Yeah. But no, I mean, just thinking about, like,
put a big ass fucking spoiler on the back with some spikes and get some dude with a guitar and fucking flamethrowers and strap him down
on the back of a
Sonic.
Sonic.
I mean, you have to, there's just a million things you think about that as a person, like, like my family. I gotta protect my family. I have to do all this stuff, right? And like those ideas of rape, that's fucking horrifying, man.
It is.
And these films really amplify that. Now, we've beaten up the Road Warrior, which is great. I'm really happy because that was a huge piece of this list here.
Oh yeah.
So
I do want to go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, can we? Yeah, let's mention this one because it really does tie. To me, it does kind of tie. It's not the same, but it is kind of the same idea. 1995. Waterworld.
I was going to say the same one.
Yeah,
I was going to say the same one.
It's the Road Warrior on water.
It's the Road Warrior on water.
Well, Road Warrior. I know. I love the movie. I thought the movie was fantastic. I thought that ship was another character. I thought that the way that movie played out. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest thing I've ever saw.
Yeah.
But it was cool. It was. Dennis Hopper. His whole trip.
Oh, he's so great in
he's
that
hilarious
movie.
in that movie, dude.
Yeah.
You see at the end, it's the Exxon Valdez. That just blew my mind. I'm like, dude, holy crap, man. So, I mean, but that movie to me really was like the Road Warrior on water. Mm-hmm. It was the same idea, different type of story. I mean, yeah, there was a race of people or certain people that just adapted to the water. They grew gills, literally grew gills to live in the water, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that movie took a ton of shit. The budget on that was some astronomical.
Yeah,
number.
at the time it was the most expensive movie of all
and it
time.
It just shit the bed in the theater.
I think it was like $180 million or something at the time, which was, and they had a hurricane, which like totally wiped out the Bartertown set.
Yeah. But there's elements of that movie that are very interesting. Paper. That's what really piqued my interest. Like paper, like real paper was the most valuable thing to those people for whatever reason. I don't really remember them explaining why paper was so valuable, but that one guy nearly shit his pants when he said he gave him some paper, right? And that makes you think about, again, this post-apocalyptic idea. There's going to be, I'd like to believe that if there was, like right now, there was some removal of our infrastructure and anything that was valuable to us is not valuable to us anymore, what would come of that? Because you're going to rebuild. You're going to rebuild.
Bottle caps.
It could be bottle caps. Who knows, right?
That's my shout out to Fallout, the video game.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's a post-apocalyptic video game.
And that's in bottle caps are like super.
Bottle caps are money. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a perfect example of that idea. Like, what's going to be valuable depending on what's happened, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's gonna depend on the circumstances of what's actually happened. What's happened to knock out the infrastructure or whatever or change or alter our lives, like we were saying. Yeah. A game changer, basically. In Waterworld, there's elements of that too, like when they're trying to trade things. He's gonna give 2 women away for a roll of paper. Like that in our world, that's like completely that's
like
insane.
you would give paper for women.
Well, yeah, I know some people do give paper, lots of paper for women, but
Dude, I would give paper for women. I'd be like, come with me, babes. Let's go take care of business.
I love the movie.
I'll keep you safe. Don't worry about it. I ain't got no dick. I won't rape you.
Jesus Christ.
Here's some paper.
Here's some paper.
Don't cut yourself.
I love the movie. I thought it was cool. I mean, I know a lot of people didn't like it.
I think they didn't like it because it's just so far fetched. But they have to imagine that that's what it is, like it's post-apocalyptic and it just so happened to be water was the thing, instead of a desert.
They should have just called it Mad Fish.
Yeah. I think it might be with Waterworld is just that it's so self-serious and so fucking long.
It is.
That movie is unreasonably long. Yeah.
It is really long.
Like my
like long like his fishtail.
Like my Waterworld story is that like I saw it when it first came out, and then some point in high school, it was on TV, and my friends and I started watching it, and after like an hour, we were like, man, this movie sucks, let's watch something else. And we watched something else, and then stopped that movie, and fucking Waterworld was still on, because it wasn't over yet. And then we watched like the last half hour of Waterworld.
How mad were you guys?
We were pretty mad.
Yeah, I'd be pretty mad too.
Like there was commercials in there.
Of course.
What about you, Chris? You've been just over there just beating
I
yourself.
know.
I'm just listening.
Has anybody mentioned anything like really interesting on there?
Just your mom.
Oh, yeah, my mom loves that shit.
Oh, H's mom's here.
H's mom actually pointed out Interstellar.
Oh, it's on your list.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
H's mom, we should watch Interstellar together one day.
She loves
that
movie. Don't tease her. She loves that movie.
I love that movie. Every time I get a chance, I mention that movie, and we'll mention it right now.
This is a different kind of movie, though, because, yes, this takes place after some type of apocalypse. Food is drying up. The world has changed. But there is still some type of infrastructure because
look at all this stuff.
Look at all the stuff. Yes.
Well, but there's infrastructure in a very specific, like the government still has stuff that they're doing that the rest of society doesn't know they're doing.
Right.
The rest of the world doesn't have infrastructure.
Yeah. And in that story, they called it the food wars.
Yeah.
Countries were fighting for resources.
Yeah, and
they were fighting for food.
That's why they had their farm, right?
Yeah.
What were they growing? Corn.
Corn, that was all corn.
Yeah, but and all the crops are
dying.
Pretty much corn is like the only thing that can grow.
Did they explain why?
No.
Everything.
Well, they called it the blight.
Okay.
It was this thing called the blight, and it was just they were trying to figure out that was
what
within
the hell it was
weaved into the story. They were trying to figure out what's causing the blight so they could try to reverse this. But that's where they started. They already had other plans, as we know, in play there, saying, look, we're not going to be able to save this planet. We're fucked. We got to get off this planet.
Yeah. And that's why there's that gigantic space station that was basically, man, that thing was cool. Seeing how everything, like, I love seeing that, like, in what was in the third
Cooper
Star
Station?
Trek one? Yeah.
Cooper
how,
Station.
like, you could see there was, like, buildings right here, but it was, like, in a circle, and it was upside down, but that's
really
because
cool.
gravity is fucking awesome, and was like, what?
Interstellar,
cool.
Interstellar, that really that movie blurs so many lines. It really does.
Yeah.
But it does give a different take, like I think what you said, Chris, on a post-apocalyptic type thing. Something happened. It's a game changer. However, at that time when this film was supposed to take place, it isn't like the entire world is just like this pile of rubble like we see in a lot of
but they're in a situation where they're saying like
it's hopeless.
Humanity is going to be dead within a generation.
Yeah, right.
It's like if that's not post-apocalyptic, I don't know what is.
You're right.
And I mean, like, there's like a very specific kind of like secret stash of technology that's basically just kind of like a plot device to get them into space.
Right.
And Michael Caine is basically like, fuck everybody.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that completely fits as post-apocalyptic.
I can watch that movie.
I mean, like
over
the
and over
crumbling
again.
of society,
the
imminent destruction of.
I have a pretty good one
human
that
race.
actually I didn't think about until Jesse got home from work today.
Yeah.
The Book of Eli.
I never saw
I
it.
heard it was good. I didn't see it.
You guys!
No.
Oh man, The Book of Eli is
Isn't Will Smith in that?
dope. No, it's
Denzel.
Denzel Washington, baby.
Oh, okay.
You are racist.
No. Oh, God, please. No, there's the other one, though.
We need Samuel
There's
Jackson
the other one
on
I
here
saw
right
on the
now.
list, though. It has Will Smith in it.
I Am
don't
Legend.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh.
So,
Yeah,
okay, the Book of Eli, all right.
Yeah.
Or Omega Man.
Yeah, Omega Man. Yeah,
Right.
like I Am
That's lit.
Legend, but not as shitty.
High five. I'm not a
I Am
huge
Legend is so bad.
Yeah.
It made me so angry.
I think I don't like either, but I think Omega Man is better.
I like
Yeah.
the
because of the titties. I'm just kidding. It's not why.
Are you sure it's not why? It's why, isn't it?
Go ahead,
It's
Chris.
I like the beginning of I Am Legend. It's just when it
Yeah.
starts getting to all the CGI
Yeah.
creatures that it starts to
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
really, really
And then
stupid.
also that the ending of that movie is literally the opposite of the ending of the novel because they shot it with the ending of the novel and then said, "Oh no, this is depressing," and then reshot
not
the
as
ending to be
depressing as
literally
Samantha?
the exact inverse of it. So it's like all the
wrong with
themes
being
that they were
depressing?
building to, like, oh no, we're just gonna like leave those all out.
No, the
Not
Book
good,
of
yeah.
Eli is really good. That is post-apocalyptic. It's literally there's nothing left, and then a whole new society has basically erupted. It's kind of like Mad Max. It's been reestablished, and there's higher ups again and stuff like that. But it's all absolutely decimated until. Or, I mean, it's decimated, and then all of this crazy shit comes up. And I don't actually even remember. The story is about basically the Bible, but it's not so apparent, I guess. You don't find out really until, like, the beginning of the third act that it's really about the Bible. It's like... it's kind of like a story that would be in the Bible, basically.
Okay.
It's very interesting. But it's a really good movie, man. It's really good. Denzel Washington's really good in it. Tom Waits is in it.
Oh shit!
Oh, shit. Now you sold
Yeah.
me.
Now
I
I'm
didn't know
much
that.
more interested.
And
Yeah.
he plays a fucking weirdo.
Or are you talking about I Am...
No. Book of Eli.
Book of Eli.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
Tom
Yeah.
Waits plays
Yeah.
a crazy, weird-eyed inventor man. It's
Yeah.
Does he
awesome.
ever play any other
Yeah,
kind
he
of
doesn't.
character?
Yeah, he doesn't. So here's one I want to throw out. And this is one we might debate on.
Okay.
And that's super cool. I want to
Yeah.
hear about this. As I mainly want to throw it out there just to see what you guys think. 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Oh.
Ooh, I'd say yes. I was thinking about that earlier.
10 Cloverfield Lane really reminds me, I mentioned a few minutes ago, about those 80s, like, made-for-TV where they always ended up in some freaking underground bunker.
Yes.
And people are beating on the freaking door, right? It was the same feel as that. When I watched that movie the first time, it took me right back to that, being scared to death at my grandparents' house, watching all these like friggin' end of the world TV, made for TV shows. This was the same type of idea, you know, obviously because of the environment they're in. Speaking of John Goodman, there you go. God, I love that man so much. That's a guy I want to have a beer with. I mean, he would be so cool to have.
I don't think he drinks.
He probably would have a beer with us.
He's the coolest guy ever.
I think he might be a recovering addict.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah. But
I don't. One beer. What's it gonna kill him? God.
Enabler.
I'm kidding. No, that movie. I mean, yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I would say no, not post-apocalyptic, because as you guys were stating earlier, it's not after anything; it's during something.
You're right.
It's taking place while this attack is going on.
So it's an apocalyptic movie, but I don't think it's post-apocalyptic.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's obviously tied into Cloverfield. We see what happens in Cloverfield. This is supposed to be, I mean, I'm not exactly sure. I've done some reading on this, trying to understand the universe that they're building with this. But I know that 10 Cloverfield Lane does happen within that same timeline somewhere.
Just somewhere else.
And then the end of it just gets really bizarre.
Yeah, right. Right.
And then we've seen, now we have the Cloverfield paradox too, which it's supposed to tie into the same idea also. So that's why I meant to mention that, because, I mean, I did kind of throw it in that pile of, well, you're in it. All hell's breaking loose out here. I mean.
Yeah, well, I think what makes it interesting is that you don't know whether it is, like current or post-apocalypse
for sure.
until the end of the movie. That movie keeps you off balance really, really well, which is why I wish it had been made as the standalone movie that it was written as and didn't have Cloverfield in the title. Yeah. Because that tips you off, like, oh yeah, there's aliens here somewhere. Right. Because like it keeps you off balance about like, did anything happen, or did John Goodman actually abduct her?
Right.
And
exactly.
it like flips your it like flips your allegiances half a dozen times in that movie.
It's towards the end. I'm like, oh, he's a fucking crazy bastard. He's like a crazy bastard.
You go back and forth about like, is he crazy? Is he not? And like it really plays on like, oh, he's John Goodman. He's like a nice sitcom dad. Like, but no, he might actually be like crazy John Goodman.
But why is it crazy? You also ask that too, because they're in a bunker and all he keeps talking about is how absolutely awful everything is outside there. You don't want to leave. You could die. Well, why? What's going on?
Yeah, you don't know if that's true or not.
What really sold me,
it's called Cloverfield.
Right.
What really sold me on the idea before I knew any better that he was crazy. It was he's just a delusional person that needed somebody with him. Right. Was when she did injure him really bad. And there was that scene where he just had acid all over half of his body. And he's like, don't leave me, stay with me. Even after she did that to him, he still didn't want her to leave. I'm like, okay, this guy's crazier than a shithouse rat. He's nuts.
We knew that for the entire time.
Yeah. But then when she, I don't want to spell it all out, but but then she gets out like, I got out. It's like,
and then she's like, oh shit.
Well,
she was right all along.
Yeah.
So I lost my list. Damn it. Great flick though. That's one that's definitely kind of up for interpretation, I think. Day After Tomorrow.
No,
it's more of
it's apocalyptic movie.
It's current
apocalyptic as hell.
But like as far as like the genre stuff, that is like that's a disaster movie. It's in a whole different genre.
Same with 2012, then I assume, right?
Yeah. I mean, Roland Emmerich movies are let's just put those aside.
28 Days Later.
Yeah.
See, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about that one.
I think that one qualifies because the world is being overrun by the
virus,
by Jesus.
Hello, my son.
But it's not after anything.
What?
Everybody's freaking out.
Yeah, when he wakes up, everybody's dead at the beginning of the movie.
I realize that, but there's still some serious stuff. Like there's still, as we're talking earlier, the infrastructure. There's still things there. There's still military.
But like
and there's still planes.
Well, yeah, but there's still military and like a lot of the things we've talked about. Like society has collapsed though, and like the military has like become like a proto-fascist state and stuff.
Okay, I mean, all right.
Yeah, but then, like, are we letting like zombie apocalypse movies into the
you also
post-apocalypse
Okay, all right.
conversation?
See,
this is where the waters get even more murky.
We
right, 'cause
could.
You have a couple. You had Train to Busan, but
Yeah.
I would say that that's a current problem.
Well, here's the difference, though. Train to Busan, it's happening as the movie takes place.
Yeah.
28
Everything's
days
taking
later,
place.
it's pretty
Right.
much already happened.
28 days later,
Okay.
he wakes up after the zombie apocalypse
Yeah,
is taken.
yeah.
28
But are
days
they
after the
zombies?
zombie apocalypse.
I will argue
Yes.
this till my deathbed. I don't think they're zombies. They're not zombies.
Okay, so fine.
they
They're
have
not literal zombies, but
they
they
have
are
the rage
They are
virus.
functional. They are functionally zombies.
It's the rage virus.
It's rage.
Yeah.
They're diseased.
But
okay, fine. Go ahead.
the world is crumbling
Yeah.
around them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Infrastructure is being destroyed,
Yeah.
and things are not right in the world as we know it now. So I would say it qualifies.
I'd say yeah. And I mean, like, for that matter, so does like Dawn of the Dead and
Yeah.
whatnot. If we're
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well, 'cause
I threw Zombieland on this list also, which to me
Yeah.
clearly is a comedy. It's much different than everything else on here.
I would say that's more post than
Yeah.
than
it is because it's them just trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
Or not whatever Dawn of the Dead or whatever. But
Fine. Bill Murray.
Dawn is totally post-apocalypse.
I would
Well-
say Zombieland is more than that. But that's just my hey man. That's just
No,
my
that's
opinion.
cool.
But then
It's
we're
all
talking
opinion.
I
about
just
like
have-
how many weeks have passed since the advent of the zombies.
That's
at that
true.
Point.
That's why I was
Is
actually
it like a month post-zombie?
right.
is
Right.
The
See,
cutoff?
I was like, oh man, we're gonna get real specific here because how long does it
Yeah.
take in order to call it post? Is it an hour? Or like
we're
I
getting into
assumed we
murky
were gonna get
waters.
super
Yeah.
We're in
nitpicky.
the-
Yeah, I didn't want to
Yeah.
do
No,
that.
that's
but
okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because okay, fine. The girl with all the gifts.
I
All right.
don't know what that is.
I've not seen that one yet.
Oh, dude.
I hear it's very good.
Dude. Okay. That's you're talking about the military and things like that.
Yeah.
That one, I mean, yeah, I don't want to screw it up for you guys, but it's very. I mean, you've seen it, haven't you?
Yes,
You've seen
yes.
It's very
When did it come
post-apocalyptic. 2016.
Oh, so it's fairly
Pretty
recent.
recent, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Michelle reviewed this one.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
fantastic movie. I
I'll
mean, it's a
read it.
great movie.
Okay.
As far as this, what we're talking about here, I mean, I think it's very post-apocalyptic. I mean, the whole world has just gone to shit.
Yeah.
And it's the same. They're out looking for food. They're looking for food. The whole damn movie is them trying to find a place where there's fucking food.
Yep.
I mean, there's other things too. And the story itself is incredible.
And it's rather dystopian
Oh
also.
man,
Yeah.
man, the visuals in that. Oh my god, you guys will love that movie. You're gonna totally
Okay.
love that. So okay, I myself, I don't know about you guys, but I did want to like save up for the granddaddy of all these fucking movies. Have you guys seen Threads?
Yep.
Nope.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah, it's an experience.
When did this movie come out?
1984.
Oh, okay. I've.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it came out in England at the same time the day after came out here, and it's like the day after, but amplified a lot in terms of how just grim and brutal and ruthless it is.
Okay.
It's truly one of the few films that I feel like I need a bath after watching.
I don't know if I'm ever gonna see it.
It's so grimy.
Yeah.
There's nothing redeeming or good.
no.
Yeah,
it's-
there's nothing
just
good in
nothing.
it. Nothing good
It is
happens in it.
profoundly bleak.
Yeah, and
Oh,
it's not.
wow.
It's not made like. I don't think it was made with the idea like we're gonna make the fuckest movie ever made.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like that.
The subject matter of this movie is survival after nuclear war.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's literally post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah,
it's
literally.
and
It's the definition of what we're talking about.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
oppressive, it's dirty, it's grimy, it's people dying and radiation poisoning and all of the nasty, nasty things that take place after.
And grim detail. I mean, and just full detail. The makeup artists on this film,
Yeah.
they did a phenomenal job. It is literally, yeah. I think you just said it, Chris. It's the bleakest thing I think I've ever seen. It really is. It's up there.
Okay, maybe
It's-
I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it. Subject
I-
matter. If I know there's something in it, then I won't watch it. Like rape or something like that. I won't watch it.
Well,
I won't watch it then.
Okay,
Probably
then
not.
cross it off your list. Not going to happen.
Okay. It's okay. I just get really uncomfortable when stuff like that.
But
I don't want to see it.
It drives home a lot of what we talked about with these films, and this is kind of just this movie just kind of wraps it all up, man. It really does. Like, it's every horrible thing you can think of, which you may have to deal with in a post-apocalyptic type thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, 1984.
You're making this sound so good right now.
1984 was
really good.
Yeah, it was all about nuclear war.
I know.
Yeah, it was all about nuclear war, man.
Yeah.
There was just such a threat of that over and over again. Every thing I saw was about nuclear war, and this thing really. I mean, I think I said that. When we were talking about this in our little chat we have for the show, I said that to Michelle. I said, I saw this at my grandparents' house when I was very young, and I don't think it was it was on TV. It wasn't like on like HBO or Showtime or whatever.
Yeah, it was.
So that was the off limits shit for the kids. But it was on TV.
Huh.
So it was like, well, it's on TV. It can't be that bad, right? But it was fucking horrible.
Well, I think
that was the
horrible.
80s, man.
The thing about it though is that I think why it's so grim, and I mean, like, yeah, like you see a lot of awful stuff in that movie, but it's much more just sort of like the suggestion and the deeper implications that it gets at, because it's like a lot of what we've been talking about has like fun genre trappings to it, and it has like action and sci-fi, and this is just like a dead serious, like, what would it really be like if nuclear apocalypse happened?
See, that's
and like it
really
just like taking away all the like genre trappings and anything that's like fun and just like really looking at like, no, like, but what would it be like really? And so I think that's why, like, I think kind of what you were saying, Scott, about how much it messed you up while still being on TV is because, like, I don't remember it being as graphic as some of the other movies that we've mentioned, but the way that it's done, it's so much more serious, and like it's getting at something like really real.
This movie would make you sober if you were drunk.
Okay.
I mean, it would just make you sober.
See, I mean, it sounds really, really interesting, and I'm into that. But I don't know, man. It's
painful.
It's just the way that some things look sometimes. Like the last house on the left, like that rape scene is so
fucking terrible.
Is just awful. You don't even see it
I hate
directly, but just stuff like that just really makes me uncomfortable.
I think this is like, I mean, again, like less in your face graphic stuff, but more like it emotionally hits you the way that like Requiem for a Dream hits you.
Yeah,
to me.
I agree 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe I'll try it.
It's a horrible film, not as in a horrible film.
Yeah.
It's just.
No, I understand.
It's abominable.
Yeah.
To try to like take this thing on an emotional level. At least that was for me.
Oh yeah.
And I just watched it like 2 years ago again, and it was like it took everything I had to like just. I felt like I was like challenging myself to get through it again. Not because it's bad. It's fucking really good.
No, I understand what you mean by bad.
Yeah, just so.
Well, I mean, and this falls in line with The Day After also.
Yeah.
Very similar. The Day After kind of covers a few days up to the actual nuclear war, and then the last half of the movie is all just.
Yeah.
Dear God.
Ilk.
Yeah.
There's a couple that we really haven't mentioned. The Matrix is actually
I thought
post-apocalyptic movie.
I was looking at that.
It is totally
interesting.
It's just got super cybery things in it. Yeah, it's.
But the world has our world has ended in that movie. We are these, implants into the Matrix. We are helping feed the machine. That's all we are.
Yeah.
We're not human beings anymore.
Right.
We're just fuel for the Matrix.
Yeah.
You're right.
And the world has ended. The world has definitely ended.
And we ended it.
Yeah. That's true.
We ended it.
Another one that goes along the lines of the Matrix also is Snowpiercer.
Okay, I forgot to mention that one.
Yeah,
how did on my list
to mention Snowpiercer?
I think I was going to that, and then you mentioned Mad Max, and I'm like, oh, here we go.
I love that movie.
Heather.
No, that's cool. I didn't like it.
Which one?
It's really good.
What? I missed it. What?
Snowpiercer.
Heather does not like Snowpiercer.
I like Chris
Everybody
Evans.
keeps talking over each other, so nobody can hear anything.
Snowpiercer.
Okay.
Yeah. Movie. You don't like that, Heather?
No.
Why?
I thought it was boring as fuck. I thought it was so boring and just so not interesting.
Well, it really kind of revisits a lot of the constructs of the Matrix, like basically how Neo is looking for, was it the engineer? Who was it in the Matrix that he was looking
the question is, what is the Matrix? That's what he was looking for.
Right, but there was the old guy.
The engineer. He's the architect.
The architect. They did a very similar thing in Snowpiercer where he's trying to get to the front of the train to find the guy
Ed Harris.
Who runs
He's trying to find Ed Harris.
Which is pretty sweet to find out, by the way.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought that movie was incredible. I loved it. I loved it. I mean, it's a slow burner to a certain degree, I think, but the way it does end, and just what the idea is of that. It's like what I thought was so cool about Snowpiercer was that they're on the edge of destruction at all times. Yeah. They really are. I mean, that train is going so goddamn fast.
Yeah, it is.
And the idea is that's the rest of humanity, from what I understood. That's it.
There's no one else.
There's no one else. So if one wrong thing on that track happens, I mean, we hear about train accidents every single week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One wrong thing, that thing's, it's going to go flying off, right? So I thought that idea that they're just on that edge of utter destruction and just it's all over with. I thought that was kind of cool, and they do a lot of great shots on the outside of the train too. You get to see just the utter speed of how fast they're going. That was the one thing that really kind of attracted me to that film.
Yeah, and also that, like Fury Road, it really delves into the way that the society works and the way that, like, in a post-apocalyptic scenario, like the exploitation of people by the people in charge works, and like the way that the caste system on the train works
that's a great
is
way
really
of putting
interesting. And I know that's one where generally if people have problems with that movie, it's that the whole premise, like, they just can't suspend their disbelief. But it's one of those, like Sunshine, where you'll hear people who are like, "Oh, the central premise is so silly." Like, no, but the central premise is a metaphor. Like, it's all it's a metaphor for, like, this caste system and this society. So, like, don't get too hung up on, like, everybody lives on a train and that's kind of goofy. It's like, no, it's like
because
it symbolizes
it is goofy,
something.
right?
It is goofy, but it's there for a very symbolic reason, and you're not supposed to just, like, look at it and be like, "It's a train, face value, done."
There's another one that came out in 2011 that's really interesting. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this or not. It's a science fiction thriller / horror movie that's called Hell.
No, I don't know that one.
You guys have to see this movie. It's basically, a couple, like a roving band of people trying to move across the land to find resources, like so many of these movies.
Yeah.
But they can't be out in the daylight, because the sun burns so hot now that it will literally, like, burn the flesh off of your bones.
Ooh.
So, like, anytime you're out in the daylight, like if they're in their car, they have to cover up the windows and cover everything in the car so that the sun can't touch them. And it really touches on a lot of those same things where, trying to get from point A to point B to point C to find resources, and then the other people they come in contact with who are doing the exact same thing, that are just trying to survive.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it has that same kind of, we're going to battle with other humans constantly to try and get whatever we can get and move on. It's a really, really good flick. And some of the effects work and the visuals in it are just they're amazing.
Yeah.
Because you get all these shots of, like, super bright sun and everything just, like, whites out on the screen, and you just get little traces of what's actually happening. It's really, really cool.
Interesting.
It's
That's
really
a neat way
cool
to do
flick.
it.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting.
Hell.
And that's on a
there's-
scientific level too. Dang.
Yeah. And then there was another one from 2011 called The Divide, which is people living underground
Yeah, I
directly
don't think
after a nuclear war.
Mm.
And it's super, super brutal too. It's got Michael Biehn in it though. So it's definitely worth watching.
Hell, though, sounds interesting.
Hell is really good.
Hell sounds really cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's on Netflix.
I don't know. I know at Disc Replay they've got a copy of it for like $3 or something.
Ooh.
On DVD.
Oh.
On Blu-ray.
Ooh, really?
Let's go break the disc replay
Let's
right
go
now.
get
We're breaking a
Take
Disc
it.
Replay right
go
now.
get it.
Yeah.
Get it, man.
Cool.
So, yeah, I'm pretty
Hell,
bummed out
okay.
now.
Yeah.
Talking about threads.
Yeah, that was the fucking worst. All right.
Yeah,
I don't know why I put that in the list. Well, that was Michelle's fault.
Yeah, Michelle loves that shit.
Michelle's like, did you put threads on that, Scott?
Well, you can't talk about post-apocalyptic movies and not talk about, like, the dead serious post-apocalyptic
True.
Yeah,
movie.
no, I agree 100%.
But then
because the
if you need
apocalypse
a-
is not fun.
Yeah,
No, I wouldn't
if you
think
need
so.
a fun post-apocalyptic movie to cheer you up, watch Tank Girl.
Aw.
You know, we
Yeah.
didn't mention that movie. Yeah, we didn't
You know,
mention Tank Girl.
We didn't. We also didn't mention. I know it's not a movie, but The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I was thinking about
That's
that.
post-apocalyptic. That is for sure post-apocalyptic.
Oh, absolutely.
In great,
Even though it's zombies and everything, but like that's post-apocalyptic for sure.
A lot of the really famous zombie stuff is, but like it deals with like the same kinds of themes, like what happens to
Right.
humanity when
A new society has grown and the
World War Z,
adaptation of
same
it.
thing.
And, yeah.
yeah, like the sort of cruelty
I think-
and humanity that
yeah.
comes out. Because I mean, like most, like the best zombie things aren't really about the zombies.
Of
They're
course
about
not.
The people.
They're about
yeah.
people. That's
Exactly.
Well, The Walking Dead is really. I mean, I've read the first comic. The first one. I don't follow it that much, but they did say like this story is not. It's about Rick Grimes.
Right.
That's his name, right? Rick
Yeah.
Grimes. This is the entire story surrounds him. It's not about the zombies. It's not about any of the other characters. The story is about this man and how he navigates through all this shit, right? And I think I agree with that. A lot of these films they do focus in on how we as people will deal with losing our infrastructure or
Right.
losing our way of life or losing everything and having by some game changing event, whether it's environmental or virus
Right.
or a nuclear war or whatever it might be, how we are going to navigate through these waters. And I think a lot of people that make these movies, they do want them to come out. Humanity we want to win.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interstellar, we won. Now we're on Cooper Station. We figured it out. It's great. Everything's totally cool. There's a lot of great examples of that. But then there's Threads.
Nobody wins in Threads.
Nobody wins in
Oh,
Threads.
okay, so it's basically just like watch this shit because
It's-
this is what's going on.
It's basically just brutality. The
Oh, okay.
brutality of trying to survive
Okay.
nuclear winter.
and I mean, how tough are you?
Yeah.
And this is the stuff that this
Survival of the
this is a-
fittest.
I mean, I can honestly say, after putting this much thought into these films,
Yeah.
this is probably, to me at least, the most disturbing subject of film to watch or deal with. Honestly, because at least for me, it hits. I mean, I think about my whole goddamn life, going, okay, what would happen if? I mean, I hate to say what would happen if friggin' zombies did start? I mean, there's some
Right.
super virus that came through, starts turning all of our brains into jelly, and we all start eating each other, right? And yeah, and I know this is probably not a foreign thing to think about. Lots of people have thought about this, but really, how are you going to deal with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How? Well, I'm going to hide myself in the basement.
That's not gonna.
They'll smell you. They'll smell you. They're coming to get you. I mean, I don't know what it.
Everything that you've done in your entire life, your waking life, has led you up to the apocalypse.
Unless you're off the grid,
like what?
you're a militia dude.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're going to run out of bullets sooner or later. So
Not if you have a bullet maker. I'm sorry, I follow The Walking Dead, so I'm
there's a bullet maker.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
boy.
makes bullets.
Oh man. So yeah, this is. I'm gonna go to bed now. I want my mommy.
Oh,
I'm tired. I can't deal with this anymore.
but no, you're right. It's very interesting to think
Bleak
that.
as hell.
I mean, it's funny because, movies are a way of escape. But what are we escaping to when we decide to watch a post-apocalyptic movie?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of these are, they're kind of very much like dealing with things that we're really afraid of. And I mean, like that so many of these did come out of the Cold War when it seemed like there really was a threat of nuclear war. And then, I mean, it's no surprise that, they're resonating right now when there's kind of quite the threat of nuclear war again.
You have to trust me on that. There were so many of these just made-for-TV type post-apocalyptic nuclear fallout film. They were not nearly the scope of Threads. A lot of them literally were just like, oh, crap. They show like in the distance of a bomb, like, oh my God. And they're like their hands flailing and they just happen to find an underground shelter with food and everything. And now it's a drama.
Well,
literally it's a fucking soap opera underground.
But in the 80s, there was such a scare going on over there's going to be a nuclear war. there's going to be a nuclear war. So let's scare the fuck out of you even more by producing a bunch of movies that are going to absolutely terrify you and your children into not sleeping ever again.
It even bled into the Twilight Zone, like the newer Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
There was one specific episode, I don't know the name, but this lady somehow got the power to stop everything on the planet by saying, "Shut up." Shut up.
I remember that.
She says, "Shut up," right? And
yep.
Whenever her kids were freaking out, she'd say, "Shut up," and kind of give herself a break for a few minutes and then get back at it, right? But there was a fucking missile launched.
Yes.
And the irony is, like, some people came to her door earlier that week and said, we're protesting the nuclear threat. And she was like, "Shut up." And she moved them and put them on the ground and did something funny with them while they were like frozen. Because everything freezes when she says, "Shut up." But that's what happens is they actually launch a weapon. And that's actually one of the more haunting things I can remember watching TV was she said, "Shut up." Like the whole family, like on the radio, like, "Oh my God, a fucking bomb's coming. We're all going to die." And she's like, her family's freaking out and she is trying to not do it, but she just finally screams it like, "Shut up." And everything freezes. She goes outside and there is this bomb in the air, frozen.
Oh.
And there's nothing she can do.
There's nothing she can do,
the world
man.
is frozen in place.
Yeah, yeah.
Holy shit.
If she says yes,
know, right?
if she says, I forgot what she had to say to make it start up again. It was a long time ago I saw this. But that's one of those little things that left an impression on me. Up shut. But that bomb, seeing that bomb in the air, like frozen like that was haunting to see that. And that was all in the 80s. They couldn't make enough of this stuff back then.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was the Cold War. And I think, it did, scare the crap out of people, but I think it was sort of like a necessary thing because it was sort of like a cathartic, exercising of these anxieties that... that people had. Yeah.
That's how it always works. What you're fearful of always ends up in TV, in movies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It's just funny that so many people think this exact same way, and we have so many different movies about it. It's just, it's incredible.
Because it comes from, sort of the real world.
Oh, of course.
Genre stuff, yeah.
One that we did not mention. And
how many are there?
Tons.
We have to mention. There's tons.
All of them.
Well, first one is Zardoz from 1974.
Jesus, God,
that is a post-apocalyptic movie.
Is.
One of the worst movies ever made.
Thank you.
God, Sean Connery, what were you thinking?
Was that Marty?
Yes, it was.
Of course it was fucking
Marty. He said that earlier. So I just mentioned
Marty
that for Marty. He's not watching, but whatever. You got what you wanted.
Thanks, Marty.
Thanks, Marty. Planet of the Apes.
Oh
yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
Planet of the Apes?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah. All of them.
I had I don't know. I guess it's because I'm not a big Planet of the Apes fan.
I am.
I love it.
I
love it. My mom loves those movies too.
I grew up with those movies. I love them.
That's a really good example of the epitome of post-apocalyptic movie. Planet of the Apes. We've got Mad Max on one side. And then we have Planet of the Apes, where we have these animals taking over now, and it's like,
well,
that's
and
a great example.
I like how the two different series both do it differently.
Yeah.
Like the first ones, you don't realize it's after the apocalypse until
the end. Yeah.
Until the end when he's on the beach.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. You blew it up. But then the new series, the apocalypse is basically brought on by the apes taking over the planet while the virus is going on.
Yeah.
The simian flu causes the apocalypse, which...
That's so cool.
Only thing I want to mention about the Planet of the Apes movies is in the first one, they do make note of the ship taking off. It's on the newspaper. Yeah. They make note of the ship taking off.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yes, and they never mentioned it again. So I'm kind of wondering... when they continue this series, because this was the end of the trilogy, I'm wondering if they may possibly still kind of retell the original story again, which would be really cool. But
I'm exhausted.
I'm exhausted too.
I don't ever want to do that. I don't ever want to tackle this again.
Oh, well, it is exhausting because there's so many movies.
And I'm sure there's probably piles that we'd even get to touch on.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like you said, it's the lines are blurred completely when it comes to movies like this because everyone's definition of a post-apocalyptic theme is completely different, really.
Yeah.
So,
All right, Chris.
All right. This was episode 79 of Real Crime. We'll be back next Tuesday night with episode 80.
Oh, my goodness.
Number 80. We're going to throw a birthday party.
Aww.
Chris Jordan's going to bake us a cake.
What?
I don't know.
I didn't agree to this.
Damn it. All right. He's not
I'll think about it.
Okay. You think about that. Heather, you get to bring some cupcakes.
I hate cupcakes.
I'll provide the weed. And Scott, you
Sweet.
just bring your beautiful, beautiful ass.
All right. 79 episodes and you finally got it right.
Yep. All right. Find us on Instagram. Find us on Facebook. Check out the website, www.themoviesleuth.com. With that, we are out of here.
Good night.
Visit us at www.themoviesleuth.com and find The Movie Sleuth on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and iTunes.